Shamala. Oh yes, I woke up. Alright. I woke up. Shamala. I'm alive. Oh, I woke up. Oh, Shamala. I'm alive. Randall Magley, the harmonica man. Good morning. Hello. How is it going? Tell me. Did you lay down any of them tracks yesterday? I just fell off right there. I was on the ladder and then I slipped off. I was on there and then I fell. I guess it could be arguable that maybe I wasn't even up there in the first place. Let's set this down. Put these on right over here. Let me see, what am I looking at? Yeah. So, I am here. I have woken up, Gotten to sit down in my chair, got to look over the news and things. And I'm seeing a lot of the same news. Paul Kamish, good morning. Hello. Good morning. Yeah, I did find an article to check out, and kind of has uh, gotten my interest, and it made me thinking about who am I? Who am I? And I think that the easiest way I can put it is I think I am a body with ideas. I think that is the easiest way to put it. What do y'all think? What do y'all think, Paul? Harmonica Man, is that the most simplest way to put it? What I am, what we are as humans, we're like just biological bodies that are able to think and have ideas. You're in the afternoon time, Paul? Yes, you would agree. Yeah. I would also like the ideas that I hold, like probably the earliest identity that I took on was being a musician, being a guitar player. Cosmic Kyle, good morning. Good morning. Hello. I think that was probably one of the first identities that I took on. It's just something that has been a part of my life for the majority of it. As far back as I can remember, I have enjoyed playing around with instruments, and I also get into art, and you could throw the identity of being an atheist on top of there with being a humanist, uh, somebody that enjoys food. I like making pizza from scratch. I mean, from the sauce to the dough, all of that. I like making pizza and other foods too. I would say that's like a good portion of who I am. There's other interest in things that I enjoy as well. Oh, Kyle, you're sick. Oh, yeah, that is no fun. I do not like being sick. I don't know too many people who do enjoy being sick. What am I talking about? Like, we exist on a spectrum, so I've never known anybody who enjoyed being sick. I've seen some people who enjoyed faking being sick in order to uh, get out of things. But yeah, that is never very much fun. Yeah, this article I found it on Only Sky. Um, and it's by M.L. Clark. The struggle for our shared humanity. Thought I would take a little bit of time to check out Only Sky. Clark put this article out um, on the 20th of this month, and you can see right at the top of the article it says, "Who are you?" and it's spelt out in the Scrabble letters, those tiles, those wood tiles. I thought I'd read this article and then I have something I can share from a really good book. I think we should check out this really good book. But first, I'm gonna Brando is saying, "I'm always sick. Being on disability and being overregulated is a pain in the ass every day." It's part of the struggle. This article right here starts off like, "Humans are a messy species. Around a million years ago, our ancestors underwent a fusion of two chromosomal pairs, crunching us from the 48 chromosomes of our primate cousins to the 46 of our hominin line. Some 900,000 years ago, our ancestors also faced a genetic bottleneck which possibly reduced their species to some 1,000 members for another 100,000 years. Today, our genes carry signs of Neanderthals and Denisovans from waves of interbreeding in earlier lineages, and our world bears records of architecture from well before modern humans, let alone our first written histories of the world." Yeah, and these recent articles I've seen, they are finding things about our history that are extremely amazing, like finding the wood blocks. They found some posts that were carved and they were set on top of each other, and it was 500,000 years ago, and that put it much earlier, way before where we thought we started doing woodworking and things like that. Uh, been here for quite a while, or species has been here. This goes on to say, "In something as innocuous as blood type, we still see the precarity of natural selection. Some human blood has a protein that makes surviving pregnancy especially hazardous. If there's a misalignment between fetal and parental type. Unlike most mammals, human reproductive systems also don't cater to the fertilized egg. It has to run a gauntlet to survive to implantation before it's flushed out, which it often is. Survival for our species has never not been an ordeal. But the biochemistry that carried our ancestors to our current form didn't have to work perfectly. The theory of evolution simply describes the process of genetic transformation over time, sometimes gradually and sometimes in a fury of mutations gaining species-wide dominance, as natural selection and environmental catastrophes shape which species member live the long. Yeah. See, I just got tongue-tied. I started to get thirsty. I could feel it in the back of my throat. Yeah. So she's going on that it is a struggle. There is definitely um, a lot of variables that come into play to us being able to exist. In other words, there's no consciousness. Whoa, hang on. Whoa, did I skip something? Hang on, let's check out the chat. What's being said over here? Whoa. We got some action going on here. I see Kristen Carpenter. Good morning, good morning. Hello. How are y'all doing? I see Silverwolf and Dr. Mordecai has also got to join over here. And AR has made it as well this morning. Good morning. Hello. I'm just hanging out for a bit. I'm curious. I did read through this article once this morning, but I did it quickly, and I don't know exactly where Clark is going to take me. Where is she taking us? The article is called Struggle for Our Shared Humanity. She was saying that the biochemistry that carried our ancestors to our current form didn't have to work perfectly. The theory of evolution simply describes the process of genetic transformation over time, sometimes gradually and sometimes in a flurry of mutations gaining species-wide dominance. As natural selection and environmental catastrophes shape which species members live long enough to procreate. In other words, there's no consciousness to evolution, nothing in nature rooting for a given team or result. We are first working drafts rather than impeccably designed, and it is indeed a wonder that we're here at all. I don't know if there could be any other way than us being here. It is what it is, but there is uh, a lot of odds stacked against us too. There's a lot of things that we have to fight. There's a lot of things we struggle with. I would agree. She goes on to say, nevertheless, in our current formation, we tell such stories about ourselves, many of which contradict the messy history of our genetic journey. The interbreeding lines, the bottlenecks, the drastic chromosomal mutations, the many errors of hominids living more or less in imbalance with the rest of this vibrant world. And in many of the latest stories, so late in the long, rich tapestry of our species, lifespan, identity matters. Who we are is wrapped up not in this strange winding tale of modern hominin evolution, but in much more recent divisions between thousands of human demographics. I read that weird. That first line, I got kind of like mixed up. And in many of these latest stories, so late in the long, rich tapestry of our species, lifespan, identity matters. Okay. Hmm. Let's see what the chat is saying. Playing it on two speeds. Andy, speed it up. Get caught up. Right on. Getting ready for the work. Gonna get it done. Heck yeah. Dr. Mordecai is saying recovering from mind medicine this morning. Right on. Get some things to make your head straight. I can definitely get behind that. Yeah. Let's see what else is going on here. Where is she taking us? Where is Clark going? Our species is a family now over 8 billion strong on one tiny lifeboat of a planet, but we have still found such ways to hold ourselves apart. The complex obligations of identity. Hmm. Many of us are born to communities with an express interest not only in passing on specific genetic traits, but also in passing on whole, rigid ideas of demographics belonging before a child can choose whether they want to belong. Some of the most critical facets of identity are decided for them: where they can live, how safely they will live, how soon they are probably going to die. Where you are born immediately grants you certain civic and mobility rights and denies you others just as quickly based on arbitrary labyrinth rules in different sovereign states which can change over time. The color of our skin, to the form of our genitals, along with any limb differences or other congenital variations, will also mark you out for different levels of safety. Depending on the community into which you were born, you might even have your genitals cut at birth or other body parts pierced soon after. You may be added to the ranks of a specific religion before you can talk. People might want to kill you for belonging to the religion before you can talk. You will be treated a certain way based on cultural expectations for your gender and or caste-based role. Your education will be shaped around the same. You will be named as belonging to specific national identities, your birthright, as if knowledge of your ancestors lives in your blood, waiting to be called out, as if your automatic obligations to recent lines from which you come, as if all these factors have a right to decide the value of your life in turn. This article goes on to say the next little heading is advocacy by identity. The modern history of human identity and its political importance can take any number of starting points. Tribal warfare in the ancient Middle East and India, the differentiation between new and old faiths early in our common era, the entitlements outlined in contract law leading up to and stemming from the Magna Carta, demographic debates emerging from European colonization of the Americas, the many battles fought for racial, ethnic, and gender equality in the industrializing West. But whenever it comes to our current social contract, a more relevant starting point might be the wave of neoliberal public policy that started in Chile in the 1970s, then spread about the world. In this pro market approach to governance, we still carved out ways to advance human rights, but through private interest groups in a sea of other lobbies and corporate enterprises also petitioning the government for redress. We have been living for decades in a marketplace of ideas rather than any proactive public discourse about best how to protect and improve human life. Yeah, how do we get to where it is symbiotic? Like that is something I would like to achieve a symbiotic life with the earth to where my existence doesn't pollute the environment and the environment that can affect my health, which is crazy. Like in Oklahoma, there is a chat pile out in Oklahoma, which a chat pile is very tiny, small particles that uh, are left over from mining, and those were getting blown up in the air whenever there are heavy winds, and there's runoff from rain, which was getting it down into the water, and people were breathing in and harming themselves. They had to leave that whole town. Looking at the chat right now. AR's asking, I wonder if other life out there has also made it to their moon or adjacent floating rocks. I, I'm I can't answer that one. I'm not sure. Some people are smarter than a monkey. Yeah. Um. Let's see. Where was I at? Sometimes this state of affairs is blamed on activists reacting to the status quo for fixating on defensive legislation that explicitly protects their, in quotation marks, that explicitly protects their people from further systemic abuse. But if the government will only protect your rights once the government accepts the legitimacy of your identity claim, then there are only two roads forward: push for a completely different form of government, one that doesn't operate with this conditionally around human rights, or push for personal recognition within its marketplace of ideas. The latter certainly feels more feasible to some, and yet we did not have to take this path as a species. Not so long ago, we were even starting to dream in an entirely different way. In 1948, with the creation of the UN Declaration of Human Rights, we established a way of thinking about humanity and what it meant to protect us all without knowing your specific identity, without knowing if your local government accepted your demographics, your history, or culture. Fundamental human rights. What a concept, and one that we have struggled to put into practice ever since. The trouble is that on a very basic level, we enjoy our tribal divisions, whether it's a story of national migratory identity or of coming from a long line of strong, brave men and women, or of people who share our creed, having died for their faith many centuries ago. Many of us see the performance of demographic differences as essential to our experience of being human, and what would be fine on its surface if many of these identities didn't also require that everyone else abide by our personal premise too. If one's practice of masculinity requires that no other male person perform gender differently, or if one's practice of national identity requires that no one sharing the same land disagree over obligations to the state, or if one's practice of faith requires that no one else should hold a different opinion about one's God or religious text, well, then we have a problem, don't we? Then we have a world where a personal love of identity can be materially harmful to others. If your identity involves an obligation to hate another simply for existing, or to oppress them, or to seek vengeance upon them for past wrongs done to those in your demographic, well, then that's not a situation easily resolved. Yeah, people actually want to. harm us for the ideas that we have. Or it doesn't even have to be about an idea. They can just want your body. In a creepy freaking way. Oh my goodness. Um, but yeah, people get killed for their ideas all the time. It's wild. Like musicians who go out and play shows and stuff. There's people who stalk and then murder these people. It's it's nuts. I mean, I think every type of like artistry has that problem. Like people not liking what you say, or maybe they like what you say, or like in the case of like Dimebag Daryl from Pantera, the dude who murdered him thought that Dime had stolen his songs. At least from the information that I had learned about uh, the person who killed Dime on stage, um, that person had said to other people that he thought that Dime had stolen the music from him. It's wild. Wild, wild, wild. Dr. Mordecai is saying just because you are smarter than a monkey does not mean that you are smart. Yeah. Tobin is reading half truths. We are monkeys. Dr. Mordecai is saying, good morning, trees. Hello. That guy that killed Dime was insane. Yeah, there is definitely a mental health issue there, which is something that is in our state of Texas. It's not um, something that is you know, easy to come upon. Like you gotta dig for it. Um, I recently went through therapy, and whenever I first started looking for it, I was looking for it locally, so I could go and visit these people and chat with them, face to face. And I called them, and I just got an answer machine, and they said they're completely booked, and they don't have any room for any more people. There was only two, and like it was somewhere in between a 50 and 100-mile radius that had set up to look for somebody near me. But yeah, the person that killed Dimebag Daryl, um, which is the guitar player from Pantera, a heavy metal band from out of Texas, um, he was murdered on stage. Oh, what did I just touch? There it is. Look at the tree. Says Dime got killed in Columbus, Ohio. That's right. While I was getting weed, and they shut down like 10 blocks of helicopters and SWAT everywhere. Yeah, and it was it was happening all right there underneath one small roof. Hurt people will hurt people. You got that right, AR. We didn't. That can be trippy. Whenever they helicopters flying around up above, and you're hearing sirens going off everywhere, and cars are flying by real fast. It's like, oh shit. Let's go inside, lock the doors. Yeah. Let's see. I think I'm very close to the conclusion of what Clark is writing here. Clark goes on to say, worse yet, our neoliberal paradigm for human rights activism has made it easier than ever for the assertion of identity to be seen as a sign of automatic expertise, as if any demographic is ever a monolith or hive mind, as if the mere act of holding a given identity makes one fully formed, fully informed on all related themes, and as if having an identity forced upon you via your genital makeup, skin color, or ethno-religious and national association from birth should ever obligate you to become an expert in every data point relevant to demographic defense. Yeah, I think it's funny when people try to like psychoanalyze you and they just met you and they learned one thing about you and then they're like, oh, well, then you must be this and that. Kind of like with horoscopes, you know, they find out, oh, Tobin, you're a Taurus. Well, that must mean you're stubborn. And I don't really consider myself stubborn. I can be easily um, questioned, and I take criticism pretty well. I can talk about things, and I know I can be wrong. So it is a weird line of thinking that if you find out one thing about a person that you're going to know everything else about them is a ridiculous way of thinking. And there are people out there who do that. Sometimes, mind you, this push to treat people with X identity as automatic experts is well mentioned. Oh, I just misspoke. This push to treat people with X identity as an automatic expert is well intentioned, just also horribly misguided and counterproductive. Ofumi Otewo wrote a few years back on being in the room privilege. A book called Being in the Room Privilege, a way in which people who manage to participate. Ah, jeez. All right, can I make it through this? I have a tickle in the back of my throat. A way in which people who manage to participate in powerful spheres of society can easily be made to forget the intersectionality of identity. The only black man in a given academic space might be called upon to speak for all black experience For instance, in the process, the person and their well-intentioned colleagues can easily forget that cultural factors that separate one experience of this identity from the experiences of many who could never be in the room to speak for themselves. Instead of identity opening us to a greater defense of all human rights, then it can just as easily be weaponized to close us off by allowing people in power to feel as though their work is done so long as a few folks in the room are ready to represent the rest of the human life. It wasn't that long ago. Um, I'm going to go on another tangent here that we have the secular coalition, which is a group of lobbyists in our government that are helping safeguard against the theology that is rampant in our government. It is more widely accepted religious ideas and all that. Sandy says a Christian upbringing is what hurt me, set me up perfectly to submit to abuse. Yeah, um, it's taken me quite a long time to sort out all that mess. Like, um, I try not to live with regret and dwell on like the past too much, but I really do feel like if I did not have that garbage put into my mind, I would have focused so much more on the goals that I had. And I've had the goals that I've wanted to achieve for a very long time. Like that being a musician and like being a recording artist, I mean, I am those things, but I have not professionally. I am definitely nowhere near the mark where I saw myself as a kid. I've had that goal since then, and I've had so many other little roadblocks. And sorting out some of the baggage that I had with freaking religious ideas, I just didn't need it. I definitely think it impeded. Dr. Mordecai says Tobin needs Jesus in his life. Yeah, no Jesus for me. No, I've had enough Jesus. I've had the Jesus. I've had the Jesus in many different flavors. You know, I've tried the Jesus. I've done the deep dive on the Jesus. And I can't take no more Jesus. Please, no more Jesus. Look at the tree. It says QAnon is astrology for dumb fucks. Yeah, yeah. Dr. Mordecai says, get your Jesus sandwich and a big cold glass of Jesus blood. Wash it down with some of that blood Christ. Mmm, yummy. AR is like, I've had enough Jesus as well. Hey, native atheist. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Yeah, I'm reading an article from Clark, M.L. Clark from The Only Sky. And it's been talking about the struggle of human life and our identity And I think she also was saying that the identity can be something that is um, can be used to make us an enemy in a way. Clark goes on to say, in political theory, this phenomenon has also led to what's called a race to the bottom, or marginalization Olympics, a misguided belief that if one can find the most marginalized person to uplift, one will surely have found the most enlightened human being, the person best suited to provide policy for a better world. The cruelty in this marketplace gamification of identity is that it refuses, by its very premise, to honor the full humanity of any marginalized people it seeks to uplift, instead of allowing people who have endured whole lives to neglect, abuse, and exclude from fundamental human rights, to have trauma, to be informed about all relevant alternatives, and even to move through the world with overwhelming anger and rigidity. This superficial form of uplift expects the downtrodden to be saints, perfect victims, enlightened by their suffering. And if they're not, if they make any errors along intersectional lines along the way, oh, how swift the backlash then becomes among policymakers who were generous enough to make space for them at the table in the first place. Clearly, they were lost causes. What a waste to try to uplift and civilize such human beings. Religion, nationalism, and other rigid stories. When a country finds itself at war, or when religious group goes on attack, or when the government targets specific identities, there's often great pressure for everyone connected to related labels to show up for their group, to take a side and have an informed opinion, and otherwise make a stand as soon as possible. After all, they don't owe it to others of their faith, their ethnicity, their ancestry, their political grouping. If someone has killed someone else for an identity you share, how dare you sit by and not support your group's response? Hmm. In this way, times of war, state persecution, and related identity based violence always comes to us as direct attacks on a competing desire to see ourselves as individual witnesses to the cosmos, and also as part of a family of 8 billion strong, or more, if one's extended one's thinking across time and excludes other sentient critters here on Earth. That's a good point. Yeah, there's way more than 8 billion of us if you open up the idea that there are sentient beings here other than us humans, other than us apes and monkeys. As much as one might want to spend one's time alive cultivating wonder, it only takes a few people who value in group identity more than shared humanity to ruin the pursuit for all. Only very recently have we been able to learn as much as we now know about the greater cosmos beyond the pale blue dot, and also about the tremendous genetic journeys our ancestors moved through to bring us to this flicker of a current life at all. Only very recently have we been able to study our impact on our environment and to make plans to try to heal the damage we've done to our ecosystem along the way. And yet, 75 years ago, we also ambitiously imagined an approach to human rights that we have struggled to enact ever since. One might even suggest that we have lately lost the spirit of play that our ancestors had, at least according to the thesis of The Dawn of Everything, a work of speculative anthology we covered in a humanist book club, in favor of bureaucratic paradigm that polarizes defending the rights of specific identities piecemeal as secondary considerations in constant competition. We are still so vulnerable, in other words, to others deciding what the shape of our lives will be based on identities often imposed on us without our agreement at birth. If you born as X, someone from Y will want to kill you for it. If you are born as Z, someone will do everything to ensure you never have a choice to thrive. What an utterly depraved waste of this gift of life. In the face of it, at least the deep history of our species offers some small comfort. Our lineage has survived worse bottlenecks and disasters. That doesn't do much, though, for those who didn't make it through those crisis points and all who will not now. All the human life we have needlessly lost in the last 2 weeks alone. In a better world, a world that our species has this incredible capacity to dream up at all, we would be using our greatest wealth of resources for communal betterment to optimize the ability of every human being to be an individual first, and as an individual to enjoy both the wonders of life and the marvel being part of a species, a family as immense and wide ranging as our own. But in the world we have instead, the best we can often do is to remember each other's individuality, to champion the fact that no demographic is a monolith and that no individual within any group should ever have to be a perfect expert on or spend their entire life committed to a cause based on an identity that they did not choose. If you know one person with X identity, you know one person with X identity. And that's a great start. With the 7+ billion, give or take, and maybe we'll finally have the understanding necessary to advocate for fundamental human rights that actually serve us all. Woo! Uh, yeah, identities aren't something that um, people need to die for. That was a good article. Hey, Bree's made it over here. Good morning, Bree. Howdy. Dr. Mordecai says, I'm going Wicca hunting on Halloween. Awesome. Dr. Mordecai is also saying, I'm going to shine the flashlight of Jesus through the dark Halloween night and find a witch. Look between your legs. Does your penis look like a Jesus penis? Find out if you are circumcised. Right on. Thanks for joining me. I've now gone on for about an hour. Uh, that was an interesting article by Clark. I always like checking out the Only Sky and seeing what they have going on over there. Dr. Mordecai says if Allah wanted a son, he would have created one. Yeah. But yeah. I wish y'all all well-being, and I enjoy the diversity of different cultures and the individuals, the differences of curiosity and interest and identities. That's one of the things that makes living interesting, is getting to learn about all those different cultures and identities that people have. And thank y'all for coming and hanging out with me live. I enjoyed this social interaction, uh, getting to go live. I appreciate it, and I wish y'all all well-being, and I will catch y'all on the flip side. Y'all have a good day.